Do you know what the legal consequences of lying on your resume can be in the United States, especially in fields that require licensing like medicine, law, or engineering? Yeah, you can go to prison for fraud from anywhere between 1 year to 30 years in states where fraud is considered a felony.
So hi, my name is Bianca Censori. I'm an architectural designer from Melbourne, Australia. I currently reside in Los Angeles and I'm a lead architectural designer at Yeezy.
Picture this. Just 1 month after finalizing his divorce with Kim Kardashian, Kanye West is spotted with a mystery woman at the iconic Waldorf Astoria in Beverly Hills. The public would soon discover that this woman was an alleged architect.
AD, it's actually architectural designer.
Architectural designer?
No, sorry, it's architect.
No
It's actually
called Bianca Censori. Pretty fancy, pretty impressive, right? And her presence alongside Kanye West from that point on would not only blow up the internet, but also spark a whirlwind of controversy and outrage and concern and confusion. In countries like Italy and France, it even has her reportedly flirting with jail time for allegedly violating the country's public indecency laws. But unlike Kanye's previous partners / muses, and despite her literal overexposure, Bianca Censori remains a mystery, with no media interaction and scarce background information about her. Her Instagram has vanished and her voice is unheard. This has created quite the information vacuum online that has filled itself with wildly conflicting conspiracy theories. Some whisper that Bianca Censori's safety is in danger and she's under Kanye's coercive control. We need to save Bianca at once. Others suggest that she might be a mastermind manipulating Kanye for her own fame-hungry, gold-digging gain. In other words, you don't need to worry about Bianca Censori. This is all part of her game plan. Then, a year after their debut, Kanye would make his first official statement about Bianca. This came in the form of a now-deleted birthday tribute that further clued us in to her alleged impressive qualifications and personality traits. Notably, she's a Capricorn, and she allegedly has a master's degree in architecture and 140 IQ, making her a certified genius. He would also tell TMZ that Bianca Censori makes him happy, but that's all we got. And in a world where people and celebrities craft personas, not just to sell us products, but also politics and ideas which have a real-world impact, knowing exactly who and what you're buying into is crucial. And that wasn't enough for me. So I embarked on a quest to uncover the puzzling enigma that is Bianca Censori, because I wanted to know if creative to creative, this was someone I could respect and ultimately buy into. But unfortunately for me, it's an investigation that only deepened my intrigue and multiplied my questions, and now I'm annoyed. But I think I might have started to understand the game plan, but I'll definitely need your help to fully crack the case. Who the is Bianca Censori? Truly, what role does she play in this high-profile relationship? What's the game plan, if any? Are the power dynamics as they appear, or is there more lurking beneath the surface? Let's find out. Roughly 6 miles away from the bustling city centre of Melbourne, Australia, lies a serene oak tree-lined suburb called Ivanhoe. Ivanhoe is the kind of neighborhood that's home to historic mansions, elite, top-performing private schools, and stuff like cricket clubs. Ivanhoe is not only where the actress Cate Blanchett is from, but it's also where the 28 or 29-year-old Bianca Censori was raised. Towards the end of 2023 and the beginning of 2024, tabloid media, notably the Daily Mail, started digging into Bianca Censori's alleged upbringing. It was revealed that her parents, Alexandra and Leo Censori, currently resided in a $2.8 million home. Bianca Censori's mother, the housewife Alexandra Censori, was photographed running errands in Melbourne, allegedly carrying a $5,300 Prada bag and driving a Mercedes-Benz. One of her younger sisters, Angelina Censori, was revealed to be an alleged model with no portfolio to show, but somehow able to afford Balenciaga handbags, one of which, if authentic, retailed for over $2,000. As a result of this coverage, the picture/narrative that started taking shape was one of an extremely affluent upbringing, pre-Kanye. The problem, as it is for most of the factual information about Bianca Censori, is that the information almost entirely comes from tabloid media outlets like the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail, according to most media watchdogs, is not a reliable source of factual information. They're known to push conspiracy theories, fake news, get their facts wrong, and in some cases, fabricate things entirely. So, this seemed like the perfect place to begin my own investigation. When you're trying to piece together someone's agenda or motives in a relationship, usually contextualizing where they come from might give you some clues. My first step would be attempting to verify just how rich Bianca Censori's family allegedly is and what kind of socioeconomic class she came from. Being seen with expensive consumer goods like designer clothes, handbags, and cars doesn't mean anything. Even an expensive home doesn't mean much. These items can be inherited, gifted, rented, purchased secondhand, stolen, or funded entirely through debt. Usually, a better indication of someone's socioeconomic status is education. Not just if they got an education, but where they got their education, especially in countries or states where education is not government funded. So I did some digging. According to Bianca Censori's LinkedIn profile, if it's to be trusted, I'm not sure if you've seen the documentary Bitconned, but even LinkedIn profiles can be bullshit. She completed all of her pre-college education at an institution called Carey Baptist Grammar School in Kew, Victoria. Unless the images provided to us by the Daily Mail are doctored, we do have photographic evidence of her attending the institution. This is the Carey Baptist Grammar School uniform, and this is Bianca Censori in it. Checks out. Now, how much does it cost to attend this institution? The answer is a lot, but it also depends. Carey Baptist Grammar School has two types of scholarships: academic excellence and access and equity. Access and equity is for students who face socioeconomic hardships. I doubt Bianca Censori fit that profile. Academic excellence, on the other hand, speaks for itself. If, as Kanye West claims, her IQ is in fact 140, it's possible that Bianca Censori was an outstanding enough student to earn herself one of these. However, if she did not, it's only when you start totaling how much her family could have potentially paid on full tuition at Carey Baptist Grammar School that the scope of their wealth comes into focus. Let's do some math. Present day tuition at Carey Baptist Grammar School ranges from $24,000 a year to $37,000 a year, and the price depends on what year the student is currently enrolled in. According to Censori's LinkedIn profile, she studied at Carey for all 12 years. Using the handy tuition chart the school provided us, that means Censori's family could have approximately forked out $86,988 for years 1 through 3, $97,056 for year 4 through 6, $35,352 for year 7, $110,232 for years 8 through 10, and $75,952 for year 11 and 12. This would put Bianca Censori's potential pre-college tuition cost at a grand total of $405,580 for one child. I'm not sure what currency this is in and whether or not it includes or excludes taxes, okay? But what I am sure of is that Bianca Censori has two younger siblings, Alicia and Angelina. If they all went to private schools like this, which I could not verify, it's entirely within the realm of possibility that Censori's family had enough money to spend close to $1 million in tuition, pre-college tuition alone for their 3 children. Allow me to put that kind of wealth into perspective for you. According to nerdwallet.com, the amount of money that was potentially spent on Bianca Censori's pre-college tuition alone is more money than most people are able to save over an entire lifetime of soul-sucking work. Birth to grave. So more than the handbags, cars, or expensive houses, this number is what I think can give us the most insight into her alleged upbringing. As well, when you pair that with the widely available data we have on individuals who tend to be successful in creative fields, the majority come from the social economic elite, it became clear to me that odds are Bianca Censori's family, they've got money. They've got money. But as I soon discover, the source of that wealth, allegedly, Shady. In August of 2023, the Daily Mail would unearth a long-forgotten expose written in the 1990s by an Australian journalist and crime writer called John Sylvester for the Sunday Herald Sun. The story started doing the rounds on TikTok, so I got curious and I decided to look into the journalist, publication, and story. And I'm here to report to you, it's legit. First of all, John Sylvester is not just a journalist, but he's an award-winning journalist who's built his entire career specializing in the Australian underworld. Not only have his books on crime and corruption in Australia gone on to become bestsellers, but he's won, amongst numerous other prizes, the prestigious National Graham Perkin Prize of Australian Journalist of the Year twice. Not to say that journalists can't get their facts wrong, but on a legitimacy scale, Sylvester fits the bill of what we'd consider an expert. On the other hand, the Sunday Herald Sun, according to media watchdogs, is considered a solidly reliable source of factual information. So, with that out of the way, this is the tea they found on Censori's family. In the early 1990s, John Sylvester secured an exclusive interview with a woman called Faye Glascott. Faye Glascott was Bianca Censori's father, Leo Censori's ex-wife of 15 years. So, for whatever reason, the headline seemed to imply the stereotype of a bitter, jilted ex-wife. Faye Glascott would blow the whistle on the Censori family's criminal enterprise to Sylvester and also report them to the tax authorities. She would describe Leo Censori and his brothers as being part of a cartel, the mafia, that controlled most of the illegal gambling business in Melbourne and had done so for well over a decade. She alleged that Leo Censori was the boss of this cartel. Sylvester would get confirmations from the police that Censori was indeed considered a key figure in the underworld, and that through a video machine supply company he owned was involved in illegal betting. As well, according to the expose, Leo Censori and all of his brothers were known to law enforcement as being involved in a real party mix of illegal activities. Leo's eldest brother, Edmondo, nicknamed Eddie Capone on the street, had convictions at the time which included assaulting a police officer, theft, and making threats. Leo Censori's other brother, called Eris, nicknamed Melbourne's Al Capone, did time for dealing heroin and ultimately was given the death sentence for murdering a waiter called Michael Sedaris in 1982. His sentence was later commuted to life imprisonment. Bianca Censori's father, Leo Censori, spent 5 years in jail for possessing heroin and also had prior convictions related to the possession of a pistol with fully jacketed ammunition. Most relevant to the speculation surrounding the source of their wealth, according to Faye Glascott, the whistleblower, or rat, depending on your perspective, Leo and his brothers had made a fortune with these illegal activities, like bands of $40,000 casually lying around the house, fortune. And according to Glascott, quote, Leo Censori knew how to stack those bands better than the bank. Ironically enough, Leo Censori's LinkedIn profile, if that's really him, currently lists him as managing director of a company called Cashbox Amusement PL, which currently provides an assortment of gaming machines, but make it legal. So, having gotten a pretty good idea of Bianca Censori's alleged upbringing, I decided to move my investigation/attention onto her career in chronological order, as it could give us more clues about who she is and where she's going. And on the topic of gambling, I'd be willing to bet money that whatever the game plan, it might just involve a little something I discovered called the Nylon connection. According to Bianca Censori's LinkedIn profile, after graduating from Carey Baptist Grammar School, she went on to study architecture at the University of Melbourne, where she'd allegedly received a bachelor's degree in architecture. So naturally, I got in touch with the University of Melbourne.
Thank you for calling the University of Melbourne. You're speaking with from the current line. How can I help you?
Hi. My name is Ann Darla. I'm calling to figure out who I need to speak with if I want to verify if someone graduated from your university with a specific degree.
Yeah, okay, sure thing. Now we have an online verification tool that third parties can use to verify qualifications of students that have graduated from us. Is it something that you're familiar with already?
It was not something I was familiar with already, but the very kind operator showed me how to use the publicly available database, and Bianca Censori's name came up. She did indeed go to college, where she'd receive a Bachelor of Environments in 2017 from the University of Melbourne. That checks out. This is relevant now, but it'd also be relevant later, because in January of 2023, shortly after Bianca and Kanye's debut, the Daily Mail would speak to some anonymous sources who allegedly knew Bianca Censori in this college era. The story these sources would share is that while in college, Bianca Censori had started earning herself the reputation of being somewhat of a local it girl who pre-Kanye was already turning heads thanks to her creativity and bold fashion choices. The evidence would be given to support these college it girl era claims would be photos the Daily Mail got their hands of Bianca Censori attending the 2017 Serpent Arts and Music Festival. In the photos, Bianca Censori is seen wearing nipple pasties. I don't know about you, but to me, that wasn't very substantial. Music festivals are like Halloween. It's one of the only occasions women are given leniency to dress provocatively without being shamed. So how someone presents themselves on a special occasion like this should be considered the exception and not the rule. Nonetheless, from that point on, the seeds of an important counter-narrative were planted. Bianca Censori might just have more control in this relationship than people might assume. Then, throughout the course of 2023, internet sleuths would unearth more photographs of Bianca Censori prior to her marriage to Kanye West. These photos would show Bianca as having a pre-existing degree of comfort with edgy fashion and nudity. This was also supposed to solidify the theory that she has a certain degree of control. But to me, again, the evidence was weak. From what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but many of these photographs of Bianca Censori were taken during her time working at Yeezy. If you know anything about the fashion industry, you'll be well aware that certain brands have reputations of being cult-like. Yeezy is one of them. As a result, it's not uncommon for employees working for brands like these to be influenced by or adopt entirely the aesthetics/beauty standards/expectations of their masters/employers. How much of this provocativeness is Censori and how much of it is Censori under the influence of Yeezy/Los Angeles culture, it's impossible to tell. But I'd soon notice a pattern. Towards the end of 2023, a London-based designer called Moalola Ungalesi came forward to talk about the couple to Page 6. Ungalesi has a history of collaborating with Kanye West on his various fashion endeavors. In the article, Ungalesi would claim that the couple allegedly had an atelier in Italy cranking out Bianca's controversial outfits, notably the one she'd be spotted in during the Italy tour. She'd state that, quote, "The deconstructed hosiery looks are being put together under West and Censori's direction by a Zurich-based design collective called Prototypes." And that's when I'd zero in on the words deconstructed hosiery. And it dawned on me. Deconstructed hosiery. Stockings, tights, skin tight, mesh, sheer. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's nylons. It's nylons! According to Bianca Censori's LinkedIn profile, while she was completing her undergraduate degree at the University of Melbourne, she launched a small business with a friend of hers called Nylons. Nylons was a jewelry company. The whole concept behind the company Nylons was using the fabric nylon mesh as a structural base for, I can never say the word, Swarovski crystals, allowing the girls to easily manipulate and sculpt the fabric into a variety of really cool fluid shapes. Would you like to know what also features the fabric nylon mesh? Almost every single viral fashion moment Bianca Censori has had since marrying Kanye West. And I know this for a fact because I put together, like a loser, an entire visual timeline of the couple's relationship. And not just nylons as an afterthought, but nylons as a structural centerpiece to the outfit. Sometimes nylons are the entire outfit. In fact, a comprehensive timeline of the media coverage surrounding the couple's relationship will reveal that it's impossible to find coverage of Bianca Censori's controversial outfits without words like nylon, mesh, hosiery, sheer, bodycon, or nearly nude being used as descriptors. Through sheer scale of information repetition, Bianca Censori's name is being branded into the public consciousness as being synonymous with the fabric she's been experimenting with since 2013. So whatever the game plan, if there is one, I'd be willing to bet money that it might just involve a little something called the nylon connection, but also potentially getting into trouble with the government of California because, is Bianca Censori breaking the law?
Thank you for calling the California Architects Board. You can obtain information about fingerprinting and licensing requirements, license renewals, how to file a complaint against an architect, and more by visiting our website at www.dab.ca.gov.
Much like the word nylon, wherever Bianca Censori's name is mentioned in the media, so are the words architect or architectural designer. If celebrities are to be considered consumer products, this has become Censori's key differentiating factor. Not only is Bianca Censori gorgeous and social media age fashion muse material, but unlike Kanye's exes, Censori is allegedly highly educated and allegedly has achieved a high level of status of her own in the prestige field of architecture. On paper, it sounds all very impressive. So I was excited to discover Bianca Censori's body of work. But the only thing we found were a PDF document of what looks like a school project, an interview where she shows apparent 3D renders that she did while at Yeezy, a visual art piece she created in 2022, and a suspicious looking website called www.biacensori.com. This is how the website described Censori. Quote, "In the world of celebrity architects and designers, Bianca Censori stands as a unique and visionary force. Renowned for her remarkable contributions to the field of architecture and design, she has a storied history at Yeezy, the creative hub where her talents have blossomed. But Bianca's journey is more than just a professional success story. It's a testament to her unwavering commitment to pushing the boundaries of traditional design and exploring the realms of what she fondly calls Donda language." Now, I doubt this is an official website. I don't think anyone with a sense of aesthetics like Censori or her alleged controlling husband Kanye would approve of this AI-generated eyesore. However, I did find it curious that someone who has earned herself the position of head of architecture at a major company like Yeezy didn't have any easily discoverable evidence of her, quote, remarkable contributions to the field of architecture and design available online. Ironically enough, do you know who else expressed surprise about Bianca Censori earning herself the prestigious position of head of architecture at a major company like Yeezy? Bianca Censori's former employer and boss, the architect Joe Toscano. According to Censori's LinkedIn profile, Censori worked for Toscano's firm DP Toscano Architects as a student architect for 3 years, following her undergraduate degree and during her master's degree. In January of 2023, the Sydney Morning Herald interviewed Joe Toscano for a story on Bianca Censori. In the interview, Toscano would speak very highly of Bianca Censori and her talents. However, he'd also express on the record astonishment at the fact that Censori went off to work for Yeezy in such a high-profile role. He told the outlet, quote, "It was surprising because she was still so young in the profession. It was only the fact that it had happened so quickly and so soon, not because I didn't think she had the skills to do it," end quote. And when I read that, I was like, why is it surprising? And this is how I discover that the world of architecture plays no games, but Censori might be playing with fire. In our world, there are certain professions that have a high barrier to entry. These fields tend to require licensing and are regulated by the government. Architecture is one of those fields. In many countries, to even be able to qualify for licensing as an architect, you need a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, the equivalent of 2 to 3 years of documented in the field work experience under the supervision of a registered architect. And once that's done, you need to pass a bunch of exams and interviews. From what I understand, the logic behind government regulation is that architecture is considered a high-stakes profession. Architects build the spaces and buildings in which people live, but if done negligently, incorrectly, or not up to standard, they can also be building the spaces and buildings in which you die. As a result, the term architect in most countries, including the United States and Australia, is regulated. Advertising or calling yourself an architect without being licensed is illegal. I'd also learn that the term architect and architectural designer were not the same thing. In the same way, a paralegal is not a lawyer, a dental hygienist is not a dentist, an architectural designer is not an architect. While some architectural designers do follow education and work experience paths that are similar to architects, in many countries/states, there are no legal requirements in terms of education, training, and licensing for someone to be able to call themselves an architectural designer. Anyone with a portfolio can call themselves an architectural designer. Look, I just changed my Instagram bio. I'm now an architectural designer / creative strategist / consultant. Aren't we all? So my first question was, which one is she? According to Censori, she is Los Angeles based, and Yeezy's place of business is listed as being the state of California. So I tried to get in touch with the government of California.
Thank you for calling the California Architects Board. We are not available to hear your call at this time.
They didn't answer my call, but I left them a voicemail and wrote them an email.
Hello, my name is Jennings. I am calling to get some information on a Los Angeles-based architect. I'm trying to figure out if they are registered as an architect in the state of California, and I have some questions regarding that, so I'm hoping I can talk to someone and yeah.
They got back to me within an hour.
Okay, we have some developments. Kanye West moves fast, but the California bureaucratic government entities move faster. One of the licensing technicians of the California Architects Board just got back to me by email.
This is what the California Architects Board had to say about Bianca Censori. Hello, Ms. Jennings. Your email was forwarded to me for a reply. I can confirm that there is nobody with the name of Bianca Censori with the California Architect's license. The term architect is regulated, and it is a violation of the California state law, specifically BPCS 5536, to call yourself an architect, hold yourself out as an architect, or put out anything implying that you are an architect without an active license from this board. The term architectural designer is explicitly included in this law. However, I understand from the media that Ms. Censori is Australian and may have a license there. This would not permit her to use the title of architect in California, but whether she would be in violation of the statute would depend on the individual circumstances, such as if she were advertising architectural services here. Such a determination would need to be made by our enforcement unit. Finally, California does not license architectural firms, and there is no registry of architectural firms as such. We do require our licensees to report to us the name and contact information of any business entities through which they provide architectural services. I can confirm that we have no record of a company called Yeezy employing any California architect. I hope this is helpful. Please let me know if I can assist you further. Regards. That was very helpful. In a nutshell, in California at least, Bianca Censori is not an architect, and as a result, is not an architectural designer either. In California, either you're an architect or you're a designer. Referring to yourself as an architectural designer without being a licensed architect is illegal, punishable by fine, imprisonment, or both. You can also be banished from the island of licensing altogether. So I don't know, she might want to change that. So my next step, naturally, would be to verify if she was registered as an architect in Australia. Bianca Censori lived and worked in Melbourne, which is in the state of Victoria. I listened in my geography classes. So I looked her name up in the publicly available database of the Victoria Board of Architects. Nothing. But do you know whose name did come up? Joe Toscano, her old boss. LOL. At this point, I was like, okay, so Bianca Censori is not licensed as an architect anywhere she is set to reside in. I also checked the states of Delaware and Wyoming, which are other Yeezy places of business. Nothing. Now, if I were to put myself in the shoes of most people, if all an individual does not possess is an active license, but has otherwise met all the requirements to qualify for licensing, I don't believe most people would feel seriously deceived if that person was referred to as an architect, right? On paper, she has now close to 6 years of postgraduate work experience, 3 of which have been under the supervision of an architect, Joe Toscano. So she seems to meet the in-the-field practice requirements. So all we need to do, logically, is to then just validate her education credentials and she's golden. Yeah, so at the beginning of April 2024, I couldn't validate her education credentials either. I inputted every year after 2017 to try and find her master's degree, and she wasn't listed in the system/public database as having received a master's degree from the University of Melbourne, period. I thought it might be a glitch, so I tried to get in touch with the University of Melbourne again. And they were like, "Dear Anne Darla, thank you for contacting the University of Melbourne regarding your inquiry. We are not able to disclose private details of our alumni students. Thank you for your understanding. Kind regards." And I was like, I completely understand keeping personal information private. Your publicly available database seemed to list all graduates at the BA, MA, and PhD levels. I was able, through your publicly available database, to confirm that the public figure, Bianca Censori, received a bachelor's degree from your university, as she has publicly stated in the media. She has also publicly stated that she holds a master's degree of architecture from your university. Her name, however, does not appear on your publicly available registry as having received a master's from your university. Why would someone who has graduated with a master's degree from your university not be listed on your public database? Thank you in advance for clarifying this. And they were like, Dear Ann Darla, any information that you are not able to find online, I am not able to provide to you. We keep web forms open to current students who are interested about studying at the university. Thank you for understanding. Kind regards. Well, I didn't understand, but there's since been a plot twist. As of editing this video on the 19th of May, 2024, I decided to do one final check. And lo and behold, guess whose name popped up in the system? Bianca Censori. She is now listed in the system as having received a master's degree from the University of Melbourne in the year 2023. You're welcome, because if it wasn't for my and persistence, there could have very easily been a conspiracy theory floating around that that degree was fake. So allow me to recap my findings. As of the 19th of May, 2024, Bianca Censori does not have any easily discoverable body of work or portfolio that display her remarkable contributions to the field of architecture and design available for the public to find online. Bianca Censori is not licensed anywhere she is said to reside in as an architect. And because of that, in California, Bianca Censori could allegedly, potentially be violating the law. Bianca Censori did, however, receive a master's degree from the University of Melbourne in 2023 and does seem to meet the minimum requirements for licensure. What's really interesting is that aside from this suspicious looking video where she calls herself an architect with a capital A,
My name is Bianca Censori. I studied my undergrad and Masters of Architecture at the University of Melbourne in Australia. I then worked in a small firm in Australia for 3 years until I moved to the US and began working as a lead architect for Kanye West at Yeezy.
I haven't actually seen or heard Bianca Censori clearly and explicitly referring to herself as an architect with a capital A anywhere. I found the original footage of this interview, and the part where she allegedly calls herself an architect is not in it. Perhaps this clip is a deep fake. So, if this clip is indeed fake, tabloid media, for the most part, have been the ones making those inferences by referring to her interchangeably as an architect and architectural designer. For people who don't do their homework, which is a lot of people, it could be easy to assume that they're either the same thing or that she could be the more prestigious one of the two. In which case, by not publicly correcting the record, because she has not, conveniently, Kanye doesn't allow her to speak or whatever, letting confusion fester could be to her advantage. And if this is intentional, it's quite an architecturally clever ruse, but not quite as clever as the net positive effects on her career a high-profile marriage to Kanye West might ultimately have. After making his mark on the music and fashion industries, in 2018, Kanye West would announce that the next frontier for him would be housing development. He tweeted, "We're starting a Yeezy architecture arm called Yeezy Home. We're looking for architects and industrial designers who want to make the world better." We'd soon discover that his vision for the project/architectural division of Yeezy, dubbed Yeezy Home, would be to create sustainable low-income housing for people like the homeless. However, after failing to receive the proper building permits, the dome-like structures he'd been building had to get demolished. And it seemed for a hot minute like Yeezy Home was dead in the water until 2020. When Kanye West announced his presidential bid and also revealed that Yeezy Home was back. Based on my research, this is when Bianca Censori would join the company. In a 2021 interview with Hypebeast, Censori is positioned as one of the creative minds behind this game-changing project called Yeezy Home. Things were looking promising. Unfortunately, between 2021 and throughout the course of 2022, Kanye's career and company would be rocked by scandal and self-implode. Kanye West would go through a high-profile divorce with his ex-wife Kim Kardashian. During the course of this divorce, he would exhibit behavior that many considered domestic abuse. He would notably publicly harass Kim Kardashian and threaten her new partner at the time, Pete Davidson, which is textbook domestic abuse and what happens when a partner tries to leave a situation of domestic abuse. Also, Kanye West would publicly expose himself as having been politically radicalized. He'd make a string of anti-Semitic remarks. He'd praise Or he'd make unhinged comments about African Americans, and he'd associate with people like Nick Fuentes, Milo Yiannopoulos, and Candace Owens. Many consider these people to be bigots. As a result of these scandals, Kanye West was deplatformed and dropped by almost all of his corporate partners, most notable of which was Adidas. Adidas had partnered with Kanye West over a decade ago to start making running shoes. Under this partnership, they'd release a string of financially successful footwear products. It's under this deal with Adidas that Kanye West notably became a billionaire. Yeezy as a brand/company didn't only make footwear, it made clothing, and based on his previous announcements, had plans to also get into architecture. We'd also learn that Kanye West's deal with Adidas was bankrolling Kanye West, the individual. The company had agreed to give him an annual $100 million piggy bank for marketing that he could spend with little oversight. So when Adidas dropped Kanye West in October 2022, Yeezy, the company, along with Kanye, the individual, became strapped for cash. Kanye West admitted to TMZ that prior to the release of Vultures 1 and 2, he was a few months away from going bankrupt. This lack of cash can also be evidenced by some photos tabloid media shared of Kanye's properties. His real estate empire is falling apart. The properties are abandoned, incomplete, and in various states of really depressing disrepair. The company Yeezy has also been struggling. One of Kanye's own right-hand men, Steven Smith, went on record admitting that Kanye West has really big dreams, but without the support of Adidas, he's skeptical the company has what it takes to make them a reality. Steven Smith basically just sticks to working with Kanye because he's loyal. Which brings me back to Yeezy Home, the project Bianca Censori was recruited to work on. What's interesting is that after the 2021 Hypebeast interview, Yeezy Home is an information desert. There's absolutely no media coverage of any project coming out of that division. Nothing. All I could find was a keynote presentation Bianca Censori gave with one of her collaborators and former colleagues, Tanil Raif. In this keynote presentation, Bianca and Tanil share some conceptual 3D render projects they've apparently worked on during their time at Yeezy. They also shared one seemingly materialized Sunday service set. Outside of that, I couldn't find any evidence of Yeezy Home projects under the leadership of Bianca Censori having coming to fruition. And I thought that was really sad. Imagine working as head of architecture at a company for years and having nothing but some images of you modeling for the brand and a handful of 3D concepts to show for it. As a creative myself, I'd be pissed, and I'd be making sure to find a way to make a return on my investment. And then I realized I was wrong. I was wrong because she does have something to show for it. And that something can potentially be more impactful at scale than any physical structure she could create. Her marriage to Kanye West. Which brings me to the concept of what is a good job? I think most creatives would define a good job as employment opportunities that allow them to do a couple of things. Number one, work on cool/challenging projects. Number two, build brand awareness for themselves by getting their names out there. Number three, something that allows them to make connections with higher status individuals who can open doors that can increase their earning potential. And number four, any opportunity that gives them freedom, independence, flexibility, and financial stability. A good job can do that for you. But guess what can also accomplish all these things for you? Being in the right relationship or married to the right person. I've been around. I've seen it happen time after time after time. If Bianca played her cards right, in a single calendar year of being married to someone like Kanye West, she could have accomplished more than what most creatives can in decades of slaving away at their crafts and earning their stripes the hard way. But she's not the only one that could be getting something tangible out of this relationship. Love is sometimes not enough. In some cases, marriage is also transactional. Bianca Censori has single-handedly become the entire face/marketing strategy behind the only creative project that has given Kanye West any success or oxygen as of late. His albums Vultures 1 and 2. Thanks to Bianca Censori, Kanye West has once again been able to mine feminine energy, as they say on TikTok, to inspire him creatively keep him relevant in the media, and provide him with a flashy decoy to distract away from his public controversies. As well, it seems like Kanye has conveniently found himself the perfect person to help him get his crumbling real estate portfolio back on track. I'd be curious to know if this real estate portfolio constitutes some of his only remaining assets. Tabloid media got their hands on some court documents that show that Bianca Censori has been given some managerial responsibilities when it comes to handling her husband's crumbling real estate empire. So, by marrying Bianca, Kanye has got himself a literal in-house consultant as well. I can't tell you I fully cracked the code, but whatever the game plan, I don't know about you, but it's starting to look a lot like a win-win to me. For now.